Hello everyone, my name is Tanis and this is my presentation on the world and work of George Segal. George Segal was an American sculptor, photographer, and painter. He was born in New York, New York in November of 1924. He would later pass away in June of 2000 in South Brunswick, New Jersey. When Segal was young, he took a great liking to abstract art, especially abstract expression. He would later cross abstract expression with the sculpted figures he was well known for to create his art and his exhibitions. He admired artists like Henri Matisse and Bonnard. He wanted to be a great painter like they were when he was first starting out. See here, there are some of the paintings he made before he moved to sculpture work, like the picture on the bottom. When Segal began his gallery shows, he was still trying to find himself among the other artists that were also doing shows. Around the year 1958, Segal began bringing his figures off of the canvas and into the space of life itself with his sculptures. He used those sculptures to bring brighter colors into his work, and he became known for his sculpture work and his plaster figures. Segal continued his shows, and his art evolved as he did continue the shows. His first shows received indifferently, and his second show brought forth some compliments, but it wasn't really until his fourth show that the audience viewing his work really started appreciating the vision he had. At the time, an American art critic named Robert Pincus Witten wrote, quote, "His work is infinitely more profound and human than that of the general run of pop artists with whom he has been affiliated," end quote. There were other critics, such as John Ashbery, who said, quote, "Behind their surface turbulence, these paintings have a cool detachment," end quote. Segal was dipping his toes into sculpture several gallery shows in. He admitted that he made sculptures of people he knew personally in situations he had known them in. So he was using his art as a window into his memory, and he was capturing those memories to bring forward art that was very static in position, but very, what should we say, colorful, both in imagery and in their presentation. One of Segal's most iconic works, I would argue it's his most iconic, is titled The Costume Party. It was his first finished sculpture to be painted in color. The story behind the costume party is Segal attended a Halloween party one evening, and he determined there were so many things he could do with the different characters he saw at that party. He described them as, quote, "pure fantasy and a move away from the relentlessly banal subjects," end quote, that he had worked with until that point. The sparse setup of the figures suggests that there's not a true narrative. There's a semblance of a narrative. There's a suggestion of a narrative. It's not explicitly created. The viewer can really draw their own conclusion. What are these figures doing? Why are they standing here in these odd positions? Why are the colors they are? These would become the defining characteristics of many of Segal's works. He would tweak, touch up, and rework the costume party over a 7-year period between 1965 and 1972. He said he became increasingly connected to the color while he was updating the piece. The color connection is likely linked to the book titled Black Elk Speaks, which was gifted to Segal by a friend, in which the colors of the universe are described as being black, yellow, red, and blue, which are the same colors seen in the costume party exhibit. Segal went on record to call living in New Jersey, quote, "strangely attractive," end quote, and noted that while he did sell most of his art in New York City, he preferred the much calmer way of living in New Jersey. Quote, "I have to come home to New Jersey. I need the space and the quiet. Being in New York for me is like being in a pressure cooker," end quote. As Segal grew up, he did a lot of hard farm work, and he later credited his history of farm work with influencing what he called his mental life and his work ethic. He believed that without that history of hard work growing up, he wouldn't be a hardworking artist, or at least not as hardworking as he was in his prime. He disliked the idea of Hollywood perfection. He called it the Hollywood idea of classic perfection. He described it as things like perfect muscles and perfect torsos, perfect bodies, perfect forms. He believed, quote, "the great defenses of abstract art are that material physicality is dismissed. The thing that has the greatest reality is the idea behind the material." End quote. After Segal sadly passed away, many of his personal files and sketchwork were donated to the Princeton University Library, of course, by his wife. Segal himself taught at Princeton for a time, so it was a very satisfactory and well-deserved donation. The documents donated to the library detailed over 60 years of Segal's work and his life. There were so many reference photos, there were so many sketches, so many everything, really. It's hard to put it all in one slide or in one presentation, but here there are two of the reference photos found in those documents, showing Segal hard at work in his studio and his everyday life as an artist and capturing his process. And these are my sources, and there he is, Mr. George Segal. Thank you very much.